Hello, I'm Everett Hutto, Director of New Media here at Winthrop University. Also a co-chair of CoSIDA's Committee on New Media, and as a committee we decided we wanted to do some things to help other SIDs learn and do their jobs better. And one of the things that has really come to the forefront the last couple of years is video. And very few SIDs are trained videographers. And because of that, my job has really transformed from SID into more of a video-related position. I do a lot of video, mostly broadcast, but some of this kind of studio stuff as well. I will admit to being better on the other side of the camera as in front of the camera, but you know, you got to do it all. So, with that in mind, I wanted to give you a very simple, basic intro to video, for lack of a better expression. So, what we want to do is focus on the basics. This is a tutorial simply on the basics of video. And the first thing you should always do, no matter what kind of camera you're using, if it's a DSLR or a video camera, always white balance. White balancing is hugely important. And although you can fix some color correction in post-production, you're an SID. You don't have that much time to be messing around with post-production. Set the camera right, get the color right to begin with, and go from there. White balance is absolutely 100% the first thing you should do when you turn on any camera. You know that, don't shortcut it, go ahead and do it. Just white balance the camera, get a white sheet of paper, hold it up. One of the things to white balance that's important to remember, especially in a broadcast setting, is you want to white balance the camera where you're shooting it. As you see behind me, we are in our crow's nest of the Coliseum. If I'm shooting down there, I don't want to white balance up here. I need to white balance where I'm going to be shooting this video. So if I'm shooting it on the court, I need to white balance it on the court. If I'm shooting it up here in the crow's nest, I white balance up here in the crow's nest. That's why I am brighter than what's going on behind me, because we white balanced up here. Now, what I want to show you is sort of what it looks like when you don't white balance things very well, or if you just turn the camera on. Most video cameras will remember your last white balance, and so you can maybe get away with it, but don't shortcut. Go ahead and check your white balance, get it right the first time. If you don't, you're going to usually come up with something that's either hot or cold. Cold is what you see on the left side of your screen. See, that's really kind of green. The people look green. They look ill. They don't look good. The other thing that happens when you overexpose it, make it too warm, is you get a lot of reds. Your reds just look pink and really not very good, and your whites are blown out. You really want to be careful that your whites are appropriate, your blacks are appropriate, not what we call crushed. And white balancing will take care of that. Easy first step, and that is absolutely the first thing you should do as soon as you turn your camera on, is get a good white balance. Next thing you want to think about is how to frame whatever you're doing. Most people think you want to put your subject in the middle of the screen. And in video, very often that's not really what you want to do. As you can tell, I am not centered, and I am not centered on purpose. There is something in video, and actually in all, even photography as well as movie making, called the rule of thirds. If you put a tic-tac-toe board on the screen, 2 vertical lines, 2 horizontal lines equally spaced apart, you're cutting the screen into thirds, upper thirds and side thirds. So, or I should say horizontal thirds and vertical thirds. So I am on one of those lines. So I am on the third of the screen. What that allows now is for me to put something in this part of the screen. I can put a bio graphic. I can put my name, my hometown, my major, my, whatever, interesting fact about me. It just gives you more of the screen to add information about. I could be the leading scorer in the game, and then you could be putting my stats from the game on that side. If I'm centered, it's much, much harder to do that. Also, when we opened this video, you saw my lower third come in. It also came in this part of the screen so that it doesn't take away from me being the focal point of this video. Sort of A little tidbit, this is not necessarily a video basics, but it's something that you're probably noticing, so I want to talk about it. It's the fact that the background right now is blurry. This is done intentional. Why is the background out of focus? Because I don't want you focusing on the background. I want you focusing on me. So I've done what's called a rack focus, and that is racked out the background, keeping myself in focus. This is depth of field. If you're a photographer, if you've been around photography, you've heard the term depth of field. Video cameras do the same thing. This is a nice little element that'll help your broadcast or your interview be better. Obviously, in a broadcast situation, you won't do this because you need to see everything in focus and everything clearly. Although, if you have a chance to push in tight on like a picture, you'll notice NBC and ESPN do this all the time. They start with the crowd in focus and the picture out of focus, and they rack it to where the picture's in focus and the crowd is out of focus. It's a very useful tip. It's also good for interviewing in this situation. One more thing I want to talk about is the use of a tripod. You are either going to be taking video in one of two instances. Either a situation like this is what we call a studio situation, with a camera on a tripod and your subject. Could be an interviewer as well. Or you're going to be shooting action with a shoulder-mounted camera. If you are using the situation we have here, you've got to have a tripod. You don't want this video to be shaking at all. There's no reason to have it shake. We have a controlled environment. Everything is fine. Put your camera on a tripod, make sure it doesn't shake. If you are in a live game situation, you've got to interview somebody and you have a shoulder-mounted camera, it is very difficult to hold the camera steady at full zoom. If you are the more you zoom, the harder it is to hold the camera steady. So what you want to do is you want to bring the zoom all the way out and physically get as close to your subject as you can. That'll make for a much better interview and a much less jiggly camera motion, because it's on your shoulder, you've got a little bit of support there, you're all the way out, so you're not noticing any shaking that your hand might be doing. You're very close, tight in on your subject, and it'll make for a lot better shot. Last thing I want to talk about in this particular video is headroom. I'm going to show you a video in a minute that's an amateur video one of our students shot of a softball player. Well, unfortunately, there was too much headroom. And you will see in this video that there's just too little of her and too much around her. Too much field, too much background. You're distracted. Somebody could be walking in the background, you'd see it, and you're just really bothered by the fact that you can't see her tight enough. So as we come back, you see that the top of my head is very close to the top of the screen. This is how much headroom I like. You'll see some people shoot a little bit tighter, maybe even cut off the top of the forehead. That's actually okay. There's nothing technically wrong with it. I just like graphics and I like plenty of room to put stuff in my videos. So right now, you've got plenty of room underneath my logo of my school, and so I can add a lower third without cutting that off. I've got my room here on the edge for biographical information. This is the shot I personally like. You can be a little tighter, that would be okay. You shouldn't be any looser, because right now you don't want any more headroom than what I have right now. So I'm sort of on that. This is the least amount of headroom that's really acceptable. You can go a touch tighter, it would be fine, but because I like to put in graphics, this is my personal preference of where a shot should be. But again, following the rule of thirds, I'm on the edge of the video, not directly centered. There's just a little bit of headroom at the top, but not too much where it's annoying. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is that video should be 16 by 9. There was a time when it was 4 by 3, and it was fine. That's what we had. It was standard definition, and everything was square, and that was fine. But we're past that now. You should be shooting horizontal video 16 by 9. The problem that comes up with is people ask me, if all I have is my phone, can I shoot video with my phone? Yes, your phone will shoot fine video. There's nothing wrong with it. But Periscope and some of these other people have made it vertical, and we really want to avoid that. If you have to shoot vertical video using Periscope or something like it, in our future videos, we'll probably show you how to work with that and make them widescreen, but you don't want to be sending vertical video to anybody. News stations hate it. TV hates it. Nobody likes vertical video. There's a reason movies are widescreen. There's a reason your television is widescreen. Video is meant to be shot widescreen. So again, hopefully we'll be doing some more of these, and in future videos I will show you how to work with that. I'll show you how to take a square picture and make it 16 by 9. I'll also show you how to take a Periscope picture and make it 16 by 9. There are some things you can do, but if you get the choice, shoot it horizontally and then you don't have to worry about it. Anyway, that's all the time we have for this one. Hopefully we'll have some more in the future. If you have any questions, please contact me or someone else on the New Media Committee. We're happy to help.